Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is actually a brand new one, Joker 2. I do not want to ruin the French. Folie, Deux. Hopefully that's correct. For this month of October 2024, we decided to do psycho thrillers, and we're kicking it off with the Joker 2. Read a brief description. Also want to give a spoiler warning for anyone that hasn't seen it, since it's just came out yesterday as of the day we're recording. But for the description, in Joker Folie, Deux, Joaquin Phoenix returns as Arthur Fleck, the tormented clown who evolves into an infamous Joker. This sequel dives deeper into Arthur's mind, exploring his complex relationship with Dr. Harley Quinzel, played by Lady Gaga, whose own descent into madness mirrors his. As their fates intertwine, Gotham City becomes an even darker battleground for power and chaos. Their twisted romance unfolds against a backdrop of societal collapse, creating a chilling and compelling tale of love, insanity, and mayhem. The film masterfully blends psychological drama with gritty action, ensuring it stays with the long after credits roll. Yeah.
Yeah, well, masterful, and I don't know. I think this is like totally like, I think it's like a big swing,
Yeah.
and depending on who you're talking to, it's a big swing and a miss.
I'll say Todd Phillips can do no wrong for me because he made Due Date. But like you said, this felt like a swing. Like, hey, let's go against the grain of the typical superhero or anti-hero film and give it a unique twist. And to go from the, I don't know if it was award-winning, but like to go from the first Joker in 2019 and how it was received by everyone, and then to transition to this and have not a full-on musical, but multiple music numbers is kind of like, okay, what were they thinking and what was the basis of this idea?
Yeah, because like we watched it yesterday, and we're recording this on Sunday, October 6th, but we were like, all right, how much of a musical is this movie and
Yeah.
stuff? And we were there with a big group of people and stuff, and everyone was like, I heard it sucks. What is it going to be like and everything? And if someone said like, oh, maybe it's like Barbie and everything.
Yeah.
It's like Barbie with Joker just kind of happening around and stuff. And so it wasn't as like musically
Inclined
as like Barbie. I thought I was like walking into like, oh,
thought it was gonna be
here's a
Sound of
Joker
Music.
movie with like La La Land and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, like a Sound of Music. But so what I'm like assuming is the musical portions are basically like playing out the chaotic mind of either the Joker
Yeah.
or Harley and Joker together at the same time. And it seems like the people around them are probably not experiencing that.
I agree
Right?
with that. Because just how it started with the cartoon and them showing the Joker in his shadow. I don't know if you were back.
I
No,
saw
you were
that,
back
yeah.
in the theater,
Yeah.
So they had like the animated portion in like to intro the film, and they had Joker in his shadow. So it felt like the shadow was all the musical numbers of like, this is how it's playing out in my head, but in reality, this isn't how it actually is.
And the story's like that because, like, granted, we just saw Monsters with Lyle and
Menendez,
Eric Menendez and stuff. And so the defense of Arthur Fleck, I think that's what his defense lawyer was trying to say, that you're Arthur Fleck.
Yeah, you're not the Joker. You're two
that
different.
That was a separate person
Yeah.
that like did this, and that was the Joker. And so they were trying to like kind of convey that like it's like two different people and two
Multiple
different
personalities.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think you get that with the story. I think it's like now that you're like processing it a little bit more,
I enjoyed it.
you get what they're trying to convey.
Yeah, I think though, but I think the general public or the general viewer is going to look at it as, okay, we got this crazy action drama thriller in the first film and well received. For them to still have that in the basis of this film, but then throw in music, people weren't ready for that. And it's going to take time for people, including ourselves, to be like, oh, no, it's actually a good movie, and it can lead into a third. Because I think the third is going to be kind of back to how the first was. No music, hopefully. Maybe one song is okay. Yeah. But I can see them being like, okay, now he's possibly dead. No, he's not dead type of thing is kind of how they're going to start it. And then him and Harley are going to build that relationship, and it's going to be full chaos in Gotham.
Well, maybe that's what they're trying to convey, too, is that Todd Phillips is trying to say, oh, we killed Arthur Fleck.
Oh, yeah. Now it's full Joker.
Joker. Yeah. And then that was like Harley. Maybe Harley was the one that like told that prisoner to be like, hey, because like you're also confused too, was that like we're going right into the ending and everything, that like he gets like attacked in prison, and then the dude that attacks him basically like
becomes the Joker,
scars himself like the Joker, or like
it was the Heath Ledger Joker,
the one that has the scars on his face and stuff, where like Arthur Fleck and like the Joker in this one, where it's like he's just more of like a chaotic person. And so we kind of walked out of the theater where I'm like, maybe Todd Phillips is trying to like, the concept of the Joker is a concept. Mm-hmm. It's a construct that like, because we saw it where like there was a lot of people like fighting for the Joker or Arthur Fleck and saying like, yeah, like fight the system and everything. And I can see that happening right now in terms of like someone just like, yeah, let's fight the system and everything, and like he did what he needed to do and stuff. But for me, I think it's like a very like complex and understanding of like, because I also kind of took it as like during the movie they're kind of like there's lines of like they're singing and they like are singing like, oh, we know what the audience wants. Mm-hmm. They want the blood and stuff, and it's almost like Todd Phillips and the writing in general like, kind of wrote
sprinkle that in. Yeah,
they knew that the audience was looking for one thing, and it's like completely different.
But that's why I feel that a third, if they were to make a third, would be that. Like, hey, we wanted to make this piece of art for ourselves. We're going to tie it into what we gave you in the first film. But this third one, we're going to go back to what we know you want. Because they know everybody wants to see the Joker and all his villainy. So I can see a third one being like, okay, we introduced Harley. We now have killed Arthur Fleck, like you said, and now we're giving you the Joker.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Which is funny because, like, everyone, like, for me, I always have the trope of, like, all right, if there's a trilogy, the second film in that trilogy is usually, like, the best one.
True.
Like, for me, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Two Towers, or the Two Towers is the best one for me. And then, like, the third one, it's like they have to wrap up the story, shaky. So sometimes it kind of falls off the cliff and everything. Where I wonder if this like situation where it's like, man, the second one is really misunderstood, but the third one is what closes out. And I wonder if he's like he's kind of like going into that, like already knowing like the second one is not the one that like is going to be understood by everybody.
It really feels like that's what it's going to be like. Like it just felt like a piece of art more than a Joker film. Like it felt like it was something that was on the Todd Phillips, the creator's chest. It's like, okay, let's just get this out of here, and then we'll work on something that's for the audience.
I guess
we'll see.
What sucks is that you kind of are in the movie theater, like you're like thinking that.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's for me. It was like not exciting. It was not.
It was pretty.
It was a very good looking movie. I think that's
film.
Like the thing where it's like the carryover of the cinematography. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of like the cinematography or the way that they shot when Harley goes and visits him. Yeah. And the differences of like they show that they're like speaking through this like wall of glass, and there's like over the shoulder shots.
I love that shot, the wide shot when they cut and they were filming through a window and you saw Joker on the left, Harley on the right, and you saw that dividing wall in between the two. I love that shot.
So there's things that like are in this movie where it's like, man, this is like a well done cinematography kind of like movie, but then you're like confused by the aspect of like you're waiting for like
Something
like
to
Ken
shift.
Barbie or Ken to come out and like sing about something or whatever, or Batman just wandering around in the back
Start
dancing.
breaking windows. But I think that's why I kept feeling like they know what they're doing. Like the fact that you put this much effort into this film to make it as pretty as it is, you knew, and then just the dialogue and the songs and what they're saying, it felt like, yeah, we know what this is. We know we're giving you this. This isn't what you expected. But let us get this out, and then we'll give you another film. That's where my mind keeps going because I'm like, there's no way
Well,
they
you're
were.
kind of hoping for that.
Yeah.
And that's like,
for
if
sure.
it doesn't happen,
You're just like, okay, I'm
then
left
that
with
second
this.
film is like no.
I just
Then why?
wasted my
What
money
is
on
the
this.
point? Which is interesting because
Which is
like,
scary to think about.
Todd Phillips hit it out of the ballpark with the first one,
Mm-hmm.
where like now the production company was like, I wonder if they're like, yeah, do whatever you want.
And he was like, all right, cool.
And they're like, all right, well, let's make Barbie Joker.
So the one thing I'm interested in now is seeing. Oh, there's two things. So one thing I'm interested in now is seeing interviews with Todd Phillips to give his reference point of like, okay, what did you pull from to make this film? And then also something I noticed was it didn't feel like there was a lot of press. Like typically, like a film of this caliber, they would have like Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix.
That is true.
Nonstop. Yeah, like, hey, tell us about the process of making the film and just all these random interviews. I don't think I saw that. It was kind of like, hey, we knew this was coming out, and here it is.
Or what's funny is like we're doing this video for like YouTube and everything. With press wise, you expect people to show up on the hot ones.
Yeah.
Like Lady Gaga would be eating some chicken wings and stuff and talking about the Joker, but that didn't happen. And from what I assume.
But that's what's so confusing about this. Like typically, you would do all that. They would do the hot ones. They would do all the press junkets at the news stations and just random podcasts. But it's kind of like everything's been under wraps.
Yeah. It's like you're kind of hoping that third one is probably going to be
like it feels like it's already ready. It feels like there's something that they're not telling us. The fact that they've just been like keeping everything under wraps about this.
Maybe a month from now they like release
like hey, here you go.
Here's my director's cut. It's like a totally different movie.
No singing, just straight Joker killing people. Because there's no end credits either.
That is true. Yeah.
Like the movie just ended at a point where you're like, okay, we just saw him get murdered, we think, and the movie's just done, and then there's two songs at the end, and you're like, okay, how are they going to tie all this back together if they were to make another film? Like, what's going to happen?
And I think that's where my biggest gripe is. It's like walking out, there's like really nothing that happens. Mm-hmm. There's no, like, in terms of the story, you're watching like a Perry Mason like episode of like, oh, here's like a Law and Order of like him trying to fight his case.
Well, it felt like an episode of, since kind of tying back to what we've watched recently, like Presumed Innocent. Like we're just in the courtroom watching as things play out, and then Joaquin Phoenix was basically Jake Gyllenhaal.
He has to go back to his normal life.
Yeah.
Joaquin's going back to his prison cell and everything's been dealing with that.
Well, they're getting stabbed.
But yeah, it's like you almost kind of like nothing really happens and nothing is like, I guess like the
Nothing's
very last
gained.
scene like sets up something.
Possibly.
But then you're almost kind of like, all right, like none of this was even alluded to. None of this even like matters for anything unless a third one comes. And if that never happens, then
just like, all right,
the second one's a wash.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, okay, so this is the first time I've been to a movie theater, and this is more of the movie theater experience that we had. And so we went to a movie theater, and I was confused when I went to. I like to go take my safety pee when I like go and do before a movie, and so I came back, and then out of nowhere, like they projected stuff. on the side of the wall.
Well, while you were gone, they
when I was doing my safety pee. So yeah,
they primed us for that.
But wait, like okay.
So I don't think this was shot for this movie. For this film, no, because I watched The Creator. With
Black Denzel?
Denzel's little Denzel's son. So I watched that, and I think they shot that. I don't know if they 100% shot it specifically for that 4D or whatever the hell it's called, but that made more sense because they showed extra, like what's outside the frame, which worked. For this one, it felt like they might have shot a little wider and then just projected that. because I was looking at some, like the side screens, and you see people like frozen for a second, and then they slowly get pulled into the screen. It's like, is that AI? Like, what is that?
Like, I'm in
Yeah,
the
it's
shot.
weird. Yeah, because there was a moment where I think like Lady Gaga, Harley Quinn was like right in the corner. So you saw like her eyes and nose, and I think they panned a little bit, and she moved in. You're like, oh, it's kind of weird, but
It's
all
like
right.
almost like watching, like the way I kind of took it. It's almost like watching when we used to watch Friends when it first came out in the '90s and early 2000s. There
Oh,
was
and it
a
was like the
certain
square, the
shot, but
ratio,
now we're
yeah.
watching it on a big widescreen TV. You
Yeah.
see the extra, the extra stuff that
That you're
people
not
didn't
supposed to
know.
see.
Yeah, it's like a totally different person that was there.
There's a cameraman chilling in the back.
It was a weird experience, and I even went home and I told my dad about it. And
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, he's like, I've never actually been to a movie theater that did that." And I can see where if someone actually deliberately goes out of their way
To
to
film it, yeah.
plan for that, then there's a possibility that's useful.
Yeah.
But I guess it almost like gives you an immersive feeling, but in a more narrative movie, I don't think it like
It doesn't benefit it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a time and a place. Like, for this movie, it didn't work, but for other movies, it may.
Yeah, that like I could see like a Christopher Nolan being
Yeah.
able to like take advantage of
Yeah.
that and everything.
That would be cool as hell.
Yeah, right.
Things just randomly, or even like the next Avatar. I could see them doing something like that.
Or even we saw the trailer for it. We saw it last week. The trailer for Sinners.
Yeah.
Stuff that's like shot on like IMAX and
Yeah.
like big format. I think that would like be crazy.
Like to see a zombie just outside the
Yeah,
frame, and then
right.
it like runs in. You're like trying to scream at the screen, like,
You're
it's
like, I
coming.
saw it over there.
You better watch out. And then it just comes and chases him.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I okay. But okay, so in terms of recommend, this is a brand new film. So
Yeah.
like you're probably gonna be spending like $20, $25 to go see this movie.
That's why you got to go matinee.
Matinee, be an old person and go in the morning
Yes.
and stuff. Watch it on like the weekday by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, are you recommending this movie to anybody that like ask you like, all right, like you saw Joker 2, like how was it? Like should I go
Yeah.
watch it?
That's tough. I would say, oh, that's tough. I wouldn't recommend it as something that has to be seen. I would say if said person that was interested in watching it had already seen the first one, and was already interested in seeing the second one, I'd be like, hey, yeah, check it out. You've already seen the first. You might as well watch this one also. But I wouldn't go out of my way to be like, hey, you have to see the new Joker. It's great because there's a lot of singing. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if you like tell anybody like, oh yeah, go see the Joker 2 or Joker Folie and
Yeah.
everything, like people are gonna walk out of there very disappointed.
Yeah, like why the hell did you recommend this one?
Yeah, and it's like I would even also probably be like, wait until it gets free on like some streaming. Like,
Wait till you can rent it and watch it at home.
it was
You'll
so
be
funny
alright.
because like we went out to go eat some food afterwards, and they were showing the first Joker,
Joker,
on
yeah.
the TV screen, and I was like,
Yeah.
I want to watch that now.
Because that was like, I'm still scratching my head. I think it's gonna take a couple days to like really understand
I
or
think
get a
so.
better
Yeah.
idea of what the film was. But just that, hey, we watched it yesterday. Now we're talking about it. There's still so many questions.
Yeah. So I guess that goes into the rating. Like, I don't know if your rating is as dramatic as mine, but
Yeah.
like, what'd you end up giving?
I didn't even give it one yet. I was still like scratching my head. I would say solid 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably give it like a half a star.
No, I give it a 1 because
Okay.
it's very confusing,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people. I don't know if even like if you have to like describe as like, oh, you're into cinema and everything, you're a cinephile.
cinephile.
I think even some cinephiles would be like, no, there's like a lot of better movies
Oh,
to
for sure.
watch. And
Yes.
like Persona, In the Mood for Love made me like feel so many emotions. And this thing I felt nothing.
Nothing,
I
yeah.
felt no care in the world for Lady Gaga's character, Harley Quinzel. I had no care in the world. When he got stabbed, I was like, oh, okay.
Me giving it a 2 is really based on the first film, a carryover from that, the cinematography, and the hopes of a third.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I got a 2.
Yeah, I think cinematography wise,
Yeah.
it's a very good looking movie. I think like we were talking about like how do we get like the color grading? There's a lot that goes into
Oh
like
yeah.
probably getting your film to look like that. And so it's like that's what's cool about it, but that's not gonna carry you for like
Not
however
for
long this movie is and
yeah.
stuff. It's like if you're sitting there like, oh, look, I like this shot. It's
That's one shot out of
yeah,
a
you're gonna get
2 hour film.
distracted by the
Like,
singing and everything.
I think the funnier thing now that I'm thinking about it is when you go to the theater, you have to sit through trailers for a good 30 to 40 minutes before the movie starts. So if you sit through 30 to 40 minutes of trailers and then watch this, you're probably pissed.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, the Joker 2, you're anticipating it. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so great. You sit through all these trailers and then you start watching the film and you're like, what the hell? Nothing changes for the 2 hours or hour 45. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, you would spend a long afternoon and then you're like, oh, the trailers was probably the best part.
I saw some great trailers.
Well, yeah, that was Joker, Folie, Deux. But Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah, thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one. And please let us know in the comments below if you've seen Joker in the movie theaters, if you're going to wait for when it comes out for free or anything, or if you already are disdained by, like, oh, the musical and everything. But let us know in the comments below if you've seen it, if you liked it, disliked it, what you thought about the movie. And please like and subscribe to Saturday Night Popcorn for more podcasts like these.